4 years later, the situation in Vietnam became less rosy. The country's soaring inflation hit almost 20% in November 2011. Property sales in Ho Chi Minh City fell by half and interest rates soared by 20%. Vietnam's gloomy real estate sector is likely to decline further in 2012.
This will actually reduce the demand for playground equipment in Vietnam itself. So we have to wait it out before the economy starts to pick up again. Going forward, we'll be penetrating deeper into our existing markets such as Malaysia, Philippines and Vietnam. And Philippines, there's actually a big market for resorts.
Playpoint also has its sights set on bigger markets like India and China. But is this the right time? The average property prices in China have fallen steadily since the end of 2011 and could dip further in 2012. Is Playpoint jumping on the bandwagon hastily, or is Jason taking a calculated risk?
India and China, our target will be more mid to high-end segment of the market. And also is that we are offering customized solutions to this market. So for those customers that are willing to pay for premium service, we are able to deliver. And the market is so huge as compared to Singapore. So even if we get like 30 jobs, it's still good enough for us in China.
It's not easy to compete locally in China, especially with all these local manufacturers doing low-cost products. And we are just the agents bringing product in, and our cost is much higher than theirs. So that will be a problem also. So if you can engage an expert, hopefully they can advise us how to so-called have a play even field for us to compete with them.
Advising Playpoint on their expansionary strategy is Lawrence Yeo, an export coach with 18 years of experience. This consultant has helped more than 500 multinational corporations and Singapore SMEs in their market entry and expansion strategy development.
Jason, when you have plans to go overseas, when you're looking at 200 installations a year, how will it affect your human resource management and planning? Because I think you will definitely need to upsize your number of employees.
The design is more Scandinavian.
While many companies regard overseas expansion as a way to grow their business, Lawrence wants Playpoint to be aware of the common pitfalls of this pursuit.
Number one would be the lack of market due diligence. Again, it is like sending in the assault troops without a scout. Number two, the lack of a structured or systematic strategy development process. A third point or a pitfall would be the lack of human resource competency. You need to have a certain amount of workers and management to recruit, train, and to deploy them. Lastly, companies also may suffer from low brand awareness of their company's name, product, or services.
As Jason and his team cope with the challenges of limited resources, how can they wise up and avoid such pitfalls? Playpoint, a leading playground equipment supplier in Singapore, wants to expand to China and India. The company has already entered Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia. As owners of an SME, Jason's team has limited resources. Banks are often more reluctant to dish out big loans to SMEs. It's also not easy to hire suitable local and overseas staff for a niche industry like playgrounds. So before Playpoint takes the bold plunge, export coach Lawrence will help Jason and Wayne assess their chances of success.
We are thinking of penetrating deeper into Malaysia as well as going into China and India. Do you think it is a good idea?
it's not a good idea to do that concurrently because you'll be facing constraints internally from a HR viewpoint. So what we would recommend is that for Malaysia being a more familiar market, you should concentrate on that in the coming year, in 2012. And once you have already exhausted maybe 3 out of the 5 key city markets, and you've already captured a bigger share, say perhaps at least 30 to 40% market share capture, then you're in a better position to consider entering new markets like China and India.
If we decide to go into China, is there any city that we should target, or how do we proceed to? Because China is very big. How do we start? Which city or which town?
I would recommend and advise you to conduct some prior market due diligence first. Your research should obtain information like where are the pockets of demand coming from within China. Is it from Shanghai? Is it from Beijing? So once you've exhausted tier 1 cities, then your due diligence and your research should let you take a look at the tier 2 cities. And then from there, the demand will slowly show where are all the pockets of demand coming from.
But as a SME, right, we don't really have the resources to do all this kind of research, all this. We don't have the human resource and the financial strength to do all this study.
That's fine. That's not a major concern because in this day and age, there are a lot of third-party advisors out there which form a ready pool of expertise waiting for you to tap into.
International Enterprise Singapore, a government agency helping Singapore-based companies in their overseas growth, has schemes to help SMEs. Among them is the Internationalization Capability Development Program, which subsidizes their overseas market studies and overseas marketing office expenses. Lawrence strongly advises SMEs to take advantage of such assistance and adopt the war strategy of preparedness when entering uncharted waters.
I think the branding component is key here for them to think of a branding strategy to raise the amount of brand awareness. And how do they do that? Simply do a pre-market entry due diligence. That's why in our industry we encourage customers and companies to think about this mantra: research, research, and research. Prior to entry, companies should go in and research the market, talk to their target customer market and ask, have you heard about our brand? If not, have you heard of our competitors' brands? And do a comparative brand survey by certain attributes and rank them in order. Perhaps there could be a weighted ranking model put in place. So definitely it's key. Otherwise, most entrepreneurs are like generals. They are impatient, they are ambitious, they just want to send their assault troops into place. But if they forget to send the scouts first, that will be very dangerous indeed.
It's equally dangerous to move at the wrong time. With the impending global downturn, most businesses get jittery and would prefer to take a defensive stance. But is this always a sound decision?
It doesn't mean automatically that there is a slight recession means it should hinder you from entering. On the contrary, it could present much opportunities for you. So remember, inflation is going up, cost is going up, the general mood may be negative, but you have got big points. Your target customers' willingness to pay for your premium services because they will want your equipment and design to enhance their parks, for instance, or their properties. So if the demand pool is big, indicated by the market size, and there is a willingness to pay for your premium services, then why not?
Playpoint is no stranger in risk-taking. It was set up in 2001, right in the midst of a global recession. Yet it succeeded in growing from strength to strength.
What they have done in the past 10 years has been fantastic. They were first given some exclusive distribution rights and given a country coverage of only maybe 2 to 3 countries. The past operational methods have served them well. But moving forward, over the next 10 years or so, what that has worked in the past may not necessarily work in the future. Playpoint itself has to undergo a more structured way of looking at their market expansion strategy in Asia, because every country in Asia is different, and the conditions keep changing.
As its operation broadens and becomes more complex, its founders will need to rely less on intuition and more on a structured process when expanding regionally.
So there are a few areas you should watch out for. Firstly, scan the macro environment, especially with regards to regulations by the government. Are there any government incentives or restrictions or sanctions in your operations? The second key area to watch out for would be from the demand side analysis. How strong is the demand for your services that you're planning to bring in? Are the target customers willing and able to pay for your services? The third key area to watch out for will be in the supply side analysis. Who are the current providers or competitors of your service, both local and also foreign based? What are their strengths and weaknesses that you are aware of? What opportunities are there presented to you? Because maybe some of these competitors are indirect ones. They may be a good local partner for you. What are the threats posed by them to your entry? Another key area would be in terms of finance. Maybe in the first year you expect to encounter an operating loss. So in your second year forward, would your ROI be enough to recoup part of your losses that you will bear in the first year? A final area would be the crafting or the development of your market entry strategy. When you enter a new market, the customers must know about your brand. So you need to overcome the low mind of share element over there.
Venturing overseas holds as many risks as there are opportunities for SMEs. The stakes are high, and a wrong move could be fatal to both their foreign and local markets. Careful assessment and systematic strategy are certainly necessary to prepare them well for export readiness.